real benefits to our community. In the past 28 months, we have made substantial improvements to the fiscal bottom line, scoring a net operating surplus in the latest year of $15.3 million, in contrast to a $3.2 million deficit previously, reflecting in part a reduction in net operating expenses to the tune of $6 million. Achieve this financial turnaround even though the capital programs we have undertaken during this term are 3 times that of the previous 2 councils combined in their last term. We have and will successfully complete $4.6 million of improvements to Kempsey Road, improving access and developing this important agricultural area, $4 million on wooden bridge replacements, the Malpas Dam pipeline to better secure the water supply to Guyra, the New England Highway roundabout to allow expansion of business opportunities in the airport precinct, the Armidale Regional Airport expansion, $10.5 million to expand and modernise this facility, carting and undertaking the groundwater investigations to augment our dwindling supplies. In total, a massive $67 million of works, from major projects such as the Malpas pipeline to the day-to-day services we take for granted, such as managing our waste, water and sewer. To say nothing of having successfully led the region to date through the most severe drought in living memory. A drought which forced us to implement water restrictions, resulting in a nearly 40% reduction in water usage per day. But because of our leadership and management, no businesses had to shut up shop, and in fact, many with our help have found sustainable ways of improving their use of water. We, all of us, should be rightly proud of these achievements and have them officially noted in our council minutes so all in our community can see the benefits flowing from the merger of the previous councils and can share in the pride of a job well done. To this end, I will move that we acknowledge the programs and outcomes that have been successfully achieved as a result of economies of scale, unity of purpose, teamwork, good leadership, and more effective use of pooled resources flowing from the creation of Armidale Regional Council. We as a council are fully committed to working together for the benefit of the whole region, to continue to deliver much needed projects to the community, even though the drought will have a major impact on our financial position this year. But before I move this motion, I think it's also prudent of me to recognise the elephant in the room and comment on the misguided reasoning behind this call for a meeting today. As I have stated, we have made solid progress since we were first elected to this council. Now is not the time to buckle under the pressure of parochialism or factionalism. We must stand firm, committed and united in these final days of this council to our vision and goals as outlined in our community strategic plan and operational plan. We must maintain a public image of solidarity and stability, of a council providing strong leadership and good communications. Some obviously disgruntled and short-sighted members of our council are planning is as foolhardy as a ship crew mutineering and throwing the captain overboard as he tries to steer the ship into a home port. This council is at the headlands of a safe harbour, and to let our passengers, our ratepayers, see a dysfunctional, irrational, divisive band of mutineers now will only create concern and panic. Australia's political history in the past 2 decades has shown how white-anting and attempts to depose
Mr. Mayor,
a leader...
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. This is clearly a self-serving statement, and we've now gone well over time.
Councillor, I'm taking liberty of this. Australia's political history in the past 2 decades has shown how white-anting and attempts to depose a leader have undermined and weakened political parties, and how the voter have expressed their disappointment by walking away in droves. We cannot permit this to happen in the embryonic stages of this new council. We have much to achieve, yet we must set our resolve to do so. There are some important projects to complete. Construction of the playground will start in May this year, with completion in August. We are ready to swing back into action with the Gora Main Street now that Lamb and Potato Festival is over. This is works of over $3 million. We have just let contracts with the services in the business park. We have funding for this shingle hut bridge and improvements to the library. We're in the midst of delivering a much needed business hub to our business community. There is a works program including road reseals, further improvements to Kempsey Road totalling over $45 million. We need to fully harmonise the rates and complete the integration of the two councils. The continuation of the special rate variation will need considerable leadership of the community by this council. The drought is not over, and the recovery of the economy and the community will need further difficult decisions, effort and leadership from us. With these programs and projects still ahead of us, a change in the leadership at this time, only months before a general election, will be poorly viewed by many of our ratepayers as political manoeuvring for personal gain rather than working for their interests. Moreover, it will create further disruptions amongst our staff and management at a time when we can ill afford for them to be uncertain about the future direction of this council. We as councillors need to provide them with the unity of purpose and stability of leadership to ensure they can do their work. We need to conduct ourselves as a credible governing body to them, not one that constantly undermines and criticises. What happens to their motivation and commitment when they see their councillors at war with each other and diverting onto self-serving agendas rather than providing the leadership the community expects? We have to put aside ill-conceived and ego-driven thinking of some of you for the good of all ratepayers who put their trust in us as a united council. To have their interests first. A vote of no confidence today is a vote for pettiness and discord. It is a vote for the trivial and spurious. It is a vote which will destroy any hope of this new council working effectively together. It is a vote that will forever set us apart, create distrust, and puts personal agendas ahead of community needs. It is a vote that no rational person committed to further growth and development of this council could or should make. I hope it is now clear that I have no intention of stepping down. My responsible intention is to continue to perform my duties to the best of my abilities for the remaining term of council to ensure stable leadership and delivery of our programs for the benefit of the whole community. I have no intention of giving up the helm that the majority of you again elected me to only 4 months ago. If your electorate believes that I, as member of this council, have been derelict in my duties and have failed to deliver effective leadership, then they, not a self-interested few, can give me my walking papers at the next election. If our business community has any sway, the councillors who moved ahead with the motion of no confidence are probably signing their own walking papers. Kevin Dupay of the Regional Bank has said this is not the time for self-serving politics, and that there is a deep frustration and disgust with the lack of unity being shown. Business leader John Cassidy has reported as saying the council must have stability in leadership and must work together, and that councillors who obfuscate at meetings will not be re-elected. It's not too late to show that we put the community interest for unity above self-interest and personal grandiosity. I'll now put my motion that we acknowledge the programs and outcomes that have been successfully achieved as a result of economies of scale, unity of purpose, teamwork, good leadership, and more effective use of pooled resources flowing from the creation of Armidale Regional Council. Second part, we as a council are fully committed to working together for the benefit of the whole region to continue to deliver much needed projects to the community, even though the drought will have a major impact on our financial position this year. Is there a person who should speak against that?
I do, Mr Mayor. I don't-
Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The only thing I'd like to do is ask that those two items be put in seriatim. I feel quite clear that they're two separate propositions and they should be put separately.
I wish to put them as they are. Does someone wish to speak against? If not, I'm going to put that to the vote.
Put an amendment that they are put in seriatim. If I can get a seconder for that.
Sorry? She has no procedural motion.
Sorry, that should be a procedural motion.
Right.
I second.
So, Councillor Ronson, you.
No,
Those people were, it's procedural, so I'll ask for the head of votes. Those in favour of the procedural motion? Those against? It's carried. So, taking the first point, is there a speaker against? Okay, I'll put the vote. Those in favour of the first point of the motion. And I wish a division on this. Have you got counts? Sorry, I thought it was up there. Yeah, that is the top one, is the one we're voting on. So again, there's going to be division, so I'll put that. Those in favour of the top one. Oh, Hayley, you coming? We need to count this. Just keep your hands up, please. 4. And your Councillor Robbins, you're supporting? Yeah. Right. Did you get that? No, there's more. Those against? Those against is Councillor O'Brien, Councillor O'Connor, Councillor Gillespie. That part is carried. Now, we'll just wait a second until Hayley gets the second part up. Okay, anyone wish to speak against? Okay, I'll put that to the vote. Those, again, a division, those people in favour of the second part? That is all unanimous. Carried. Councillors, moving on to the notice of motion as put forward by expression of no confidence in the Mayor. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor O'Connor, Councillor Bailey. So, Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's a sad day that we have come to this, but I'm making a statement on behalf of the 7 signatories of the motion. The community and media have asked for reasons for this extraordinary meeting and our request for Councillor Murray to resign his position as Mayor. So look, here goes. Please know that we have exhausted every other avenue of pleading with the Mayor to improve his performance with us as a team. In September, Councillor Murray was re-elected by just 1 vote. Since then, 2 more councillors have lost confidence in his leadership. So they met with him on the 16th of January this year to ask him to step down. This is just part of the normal Westminster democracy. Leader loses support, leaders step down. Councillor Murray has said no, he's digging in. He's publicly stated that those 2 councillors gave him 20 reasons to step down from their perspective, but he found none of them to be substantial. Well, 7 of us begged to differ. Councillor Murray's dismissal of the request and those 20 points really tells the whole story. His decision to dig in has brought us all here, and it's embarrassing, and we admit it. But we want to give transparency, so we're making this statement. Look, it's just not the case to say that this has come out of the blue. There's been no warning. In fact, the last 2 years have seen an increasing number of councillors meeting with Mr. Councillor Murray, imploring him to listen to them about so many concerns around his leadership. Look, this came to a head last year when we had to call on the services of a very respected general manager to help us with our relationships. After many interviews, that person wrote an excellent report and talked to us as a group, trying to point out our weaknesses and help us to pull together better as a team. But we're so deeply disappointed that our mayor has ignored that advice and in fact has openly disparaged that whole process as a waste of time. We think this has deprived us of the ability to grow into a cohesive team. Look, after that 16 January meeting, Councillor Murray said something very important. He reiterated that he's absolutely unwilling to work with four of your 11 councillors. Now, this on its own would be sufficient reason to ask him to resign. This is not the correct approach for a mayor. You've got to be inclusive if you're the leader. Each one of us has been elected to do a job for our community, and we've got to be supported by the mayor in that. The mayor has refused to do so. Look, I can't tell you the most grievous matters because they really can't be stated in public for why we're here, but I'll give you a taste of the issues that we've had with Councillor Murray's leadership. Look, the mayor is supposed to be collegiate and work for and with his team. But when that convoy of 80 Irish water trucks came to Armidale, we knew nothing about it until the night before. Councillor Murray openly admits that he was told about it 3 weeks prior, but didn't think it was anything important for us to know about. As a result, we are perpetually embarrassed by the sort of chaotic reception and the fact that we weren't able to give the Irish convoy a fitting welcome and a celebration of their extraordinary generosity. We are forever marked as an uncoordinated council, I suppose, but that was the mayor's call and we just don't agree with it. Recently our council was offered a large grant of money to build our longed for Jumaric Dam swimming and recreation facilities. That was refused by a member of staff and the mayor has defended that decision. So we're mortified that we've therefore lost the opportunity to get a town beach facility that we so badly need during this terrible hot weather, drought, bushfires. So our neighbouring council's now got that money. The mayor's role includes attending many meetings on our behalf. These are intergovernmental meetings at state, federal and regional level. But the mayor, despite requests, does not ask our opinion as to what we'd like him to say, nor does he give reports back. This is losing us opportunities to get funding and to influence policy matters that would affect our region. There's an information deficit that we need to make good decisions as we're required to do under the Act. We ask questions behind the scenes as we should be able to do and we're refused answers. And if we persist, we're called bullies. This has been supported by the mayor and it really just can't go on because we're being starved of information that we need to do our job well. The mayor supports the current ban on 2 of our councillors being refused permission to speak to staff at all. This is untenable. In a normal circumstance, the mayor would step in quickly to solve this problem and support his councillors and support the staff and get things moving again. But our mayor has refused to do that. Water. Unlike most councils everywhere, here councillors have been excluded from any decision making over water restrictions and water. So Councillor Murray is a strong advocate for leaving us out of the loop on water matters, but we don't agree. So look, losing confidence is the one and only reason we actually need to tell you as to the reason for us asking for the mayor to step down. We owe a duty to the community to put in our best performance. If we think our mayor is blocking us, we must act regardless of criticism. Taking no action would be even more harmful. This is not a personal matter, but we must move forward. We have 7 precious months left and we don't want to waste them. We must face up to the big issues here as our community wants us to do. Drought and bushfire recovery, climate change, economic growth.
A speaker against the motion? Councillor Withers? Oh, sorry, seconded, which is Councillor Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Why have we moved against the mayor at this time? I agree with the mayor that it's personal loss that we are doing this at this time, and many of us will face the wrath of the people, but we do it because of the concerns that we have. Yes, Councillor Murat and I went to see the Mayor, and yes, we raised a whole series of issues with him, and he chose to ignore them. And we encouraged him to mediate the dispute between the two councillors and the CEO. He chose not to. The water crisis, yes, we weren't involved. Yet our neighbours, Port Macquarie, twice our size, Tamworth, twice our size, both had full council meetings regularly about water management. We were excluded from that. All we got were workshops and we were being told what was happening. We now have a new management structure in council and we had no real input. It was either a situation of pass it or not. The economic development branch is now split across 3 general managers. This is something absolutely unique in New South Wales. The GM business has the airport, but we're not sure if he's got the sale of the land at the airport. The GM organisational development has tourism and marketing and events, and the GM operations has the balance of the old economic development, but not tourism and the airport. I raised the concerns with the Mayor. They were dismissed as operational. So, for example, the years of experience that I've had in economic development, which is now 20 years, and Councillor Murat, which is 10 years, is completely disregarded. Airport parking. What a mess. The most complaints I receive are about metered parking at the airport, the difficulty in using it, particularly when you are older, and people just having absolute frustration they can't get the system to work. I fed the concerns to Mayor. I've made the suggestion, why weren't we consulted at the start? Why didn't we go to boom gates? No consultation with the airport committee, no consultation with the economic development committee. No, that's operational, stay out of it. The new hydrotherapy pool. Yes, we moved a motion on the 11th of December, still waiting for terms of reference, over 6 weeks later. I'm told we can't meet to the terms of reference passed by council. Why is it that the Business Hub Committee, working without terms of reference passed by council, is fine? Why is the airport EOI working without terms of reference passed by council? The Mayor says that's just the way it is. The Economic Development Committee, which I used to chair, has not met since June 2019. Councillor Murat as chair has taken over and he's not even sure who's on the committee. Once again, the councillors were consulted about the expression of interest process and choosing the members We were presented with a recommended list. A senior staff member was due to talk to Councillor Murat. He's still waiting for that phone call to go through the process with him. Yes, I've seen the list. Not one person from the previous committee is on the list. I've raised that concern with the Mayor. He just says, oh, that's a new broom. The business symposiums that have been held, the list was created by staff. We weren't consulted, no input from councils. When I pointed out to the Mayor that the 2 chambers were not invited, he saw no problem with excluding them from the first symposium. Those councillors that did attend were told they all had to sit together and not mix and get the feedback from individual tables. So once again, we're isolated. I complained to the Mayor, no action was taken. Staff turnover has climbed dramatically. More and more senior staff are leaving, and this is creating a void of knowledge and understanding. Staff are unhappy and actively seeking new opportunities. Staff are told they are not to talk to councillors. When we raise issues with the Mayor, he is dismissive. When we try to raise concerns over a number of code of conducts that we've become aware of, it is shrouded in, that's operational, stay out. In 2 and a bit years of representing the residents of Armidale, I cannot think of one example where that Mayor has stood his ground for his councillors. I don't believe that there is a monopoly of knowledge and virtue from the staff. However, the Mayor's attitude is, if the staff think it, it must be right. We need to find a new direction, and I hope in one case that the Mayor listens to these concerns and starts to more positively act and interact with the councillors around the table and chooses to maybe listen to them rather than always listening to the staff. We are the conduit from the public to the council, and we deserve to be heard. It is not the staff that have the day-to-day dealings with the public. We're the ones that get consulted. We should be listened to. I second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Bailey. Speaker against, Councillor Martin. Councillor Bailey, you turn your mic off, please. Sorry.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Today is one of the most difficult days I've had to endure in the council chambers. I am appalled at the wolf in sheep's clothing behaviour from some councillors. This council has made enormous progress and achieved many things over the past 2.5 years, despite the fact it has been tough going at times. Dealing with amalgamation, reversing operating deficits, as well as dealing with substantial financial difficulties as a result of amalgamation and administration, and being left with commitments to major capital projects that have been impossible to deliver due to the not enough money in the bank. We have much to look forward to, including a number of capital work projects, including Armidale Regional Adventure Playground, the Mother of Ducks Lagoon upgrade, and Project Gonzo, which are looked to be completed in the next 6 months. As a region, we are in the worst drought in history, and despite recent rainfall, it continues on. Considerable time and resources have been spent in managing the complex issues created by the drought, and the effect on our economy and community will be felt for a long, long time. The impact of the drought, water, and the horrific fires are extremely distressing for so many in our community, which is why so many people, going on the number of calls I've had, are astounded, absolutely gobsmacked, and so disappointed in this motion that has been brought before Council today. Our community is strong and resilient, but it is tough, really tough, which is why it is hard to believe that anyone with any decency and sense could support this totally inappropriate motion. I'm not a politician, and quite frankly, I have no intention of entering the political arena, even though at times it feels like that here on Council I am. I firmly believe there is no room for politics in local government. I fully understand that as councillors we are not going to agree on many issues, or in fact get on at all. But to say I am appalled, saddened and disappointed at the political agendas behind the motion today is a huge understatement. The emergence of agendas, game playing and strategies is not surprising. I've seen a lot of that here already. However, there is really no room for these low-level strategies in local government, particularly in regional communities. There are far bigger issues to deal with than this motion, particularly when everyone in this room here today knows that unless the Mayor decides to resign, it is actually a complete waste of time. So it is time to stop being wolves in sheep clothing, to put aside personal agendas, and remember we are here as elected representatives of our community. Our Mayor was elected only 4 short months ago by the majority of the councillors who sit right here in this very room. The fact that a number of you now have a different agenda or think you may be able to do better, or you feel you are not involved in operational matters, does not change this. The financial position of this very council has been so precarious that had the councillors been the governing body or board of directors for a company, there could have been charges laid for trading while insolvent. Was the question ever asked about how the airport costs ratepayers $350,000 a year in losses? That is how serious the financial position has been, and with the drought, again could be overnight. So we cannot choose to commit ratepayer funds to petty projects that are not even on the operational plan. A plan, I might add, that was approved and adopted by us, that actually gives our executive and staff the green light to go ahead and follow through with it. Meddling in operational matters is damaging our community's opportunities for economic development. Considerable efforts have been made to enter into a period of stability and encourage business confidence. The focus should be on continuing with this, not putting forward more motions that require more time, more money, more unnecessary committees. Of greater concern, actions and meddling in the operation of council, such as attempting to negotiate with companies, becoming involved in airport land sale, etc., could attract the attention of the Audit Office or ICAC. The Mayor may not always be right. Regardless, he is the Mayor. He has done nothing illegal, immoral or unlawful, and it reflects very poorly on those councillors who, through insinuations, suggest otherwise. After numerous phone calls from people in the community, it greatly distresses them and myself that the agendas and petty politics of some councillors are concentrated on what they perceive to be important issues, rather than uphold the integrity of the position of the Mayor and the role of the
Councillor
councillors
Martin.
and support the hard work being done by our council. I am 100% supportive of our Mayor, his mayoral minute and the current leadership
Councillor
of
Martin.
this council.
Can I have your microphone, please, Councillor Martin? Can I have a speaker for the motion? Okay. Therefore, Councillor O'Connor, you have a right to reply.
Look, thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, the sky hasn't fallen in and the sun rose this morning. This is a normal part of the democratic Westminster tradition. As I said in my opening speech, leader loses support, leader resigns. We have our reasons and they relate to the internal cohesion of our team. I thank Councillor Martin for her comments, many of which were scandalous, and I'd ask the community to note that we've
Councillor
really...
O'Connor, I'd ask you to withdraw that comment. There was no comments made scandalous, so I'd ask you to withdraw.
I do apologise, Mr Mayor. Could you please stop the clock because the Mayor's interjected? Sorry, that's a legal term, which means it's an attack on character. So I'll rephrase that so that it fits a non-legal environment. Many of the Mayor's own comments, actually, as well as Councillor Martin's, start the clock, are in fact attacking the character of the 7 councillors who've brought this motion. I think that's really regrettable because, as you would note from our media presentations as well as here today, we absolutely do not want to attack each other, and the suggestion that they're working on some kind of backgrounds, scurrilous political agenda is complete nonsense, with great respect. What we're doing is saying that we are a divided council at the moment. We don't want to be. We've found, with great regret, that the Mayor is just unwilling to include us in the governance. We don't derogate from some of the matters raised in the Mayor's defence of himself through over 12 minutes. Of course, the council's done good work and we're proud of it. But the fact is that we could do so much more, and we want to do so much more, and we're not being listened to. We don't feel the Mayor is doing the job that's set out for him in the Local Government Act. We've tried to deal with this privately behind the scenes. Basically, the Mayor has been completely unresponsive to this. Now, that's his entitlement, but it also means that if he loses our support because of that, according to the normal Westminster process, he should resign, regardless of what any act says. He doesn't have the support of his team, so please step down and let someone who does allow us to put a better effort forward. There's absolutely no doubt that we do face extraordinary times and we do need good leadership. What we don't need is a leader who is quite happy to not stand by his councillors, who is not willing to even work with 4 of them at all, a leader who's declared that attempts to improve relationships is a waste of time, with great... it's painful to be in this position. It's painful to have to be in public. But the public's asked us to tell them why we're doing this. You would have to understand, members of the public, and we thank you for your interest, that there are much deeper matters that are concerning us, but we can't talk about them because we've got a very, very strict code of conduct over us, which limits the amount that we're allowed to say. But we're not doing this lightly. It's an embarrassment for all of us. And we've been castigated by our local member and other, big guns around town. But the position we take is that we have to have courage to do the best job we can for our community, and there is so much more that can be done. This is not our petty personal interests. This is about what's really going on. And yes, there is only 7 months to go, but those 7 months are really precious. We don't want to waste them. We actually want to do the things that we've promised when we were elected, and we're not being able to do. We're actually being blocked in so many areas, and it is the Mayor's job to unblock that, and he's categorically said that he will not do that. He's happy to isolate some councillors. He's very pleased not to work with 4. He's happy that 2 are no longer allowed to have any communication with staff. These things are untenable, and it's awful that we have to say this in public, but the Mayor has put us in that position by not responding to a very personal and private request and many, many discussions over 2 years. Look, I'll just close in saying that this is not a catastrophe of dire proportions, as Councillor Martin and other people would... Yeah, I'm watching the clock, Councillor Bailey. This is just the simple exercise of a democratic process. We are a government, local government...
Okay, Councillor O'Connor, time. Now,
Thank you, Mr.
I'll
Mayor.
put that to the vote, but I'll also...
I have a question. Excuse me, Councillor Bailey. Microphone was on first. Just before we go to the vote, as some of you will know, I haven't been feeling the greatest over the last month, so I'm a little bit foggy in the brain. So I'm just unsure of certain things in regards to what's been said. So if whoever is the person up there that can help me out with this, if the Mayor decides to step down now without a majority of councillors supporting the Mayor to step down, so if it's a 7-4, 6-5, or whatever the numbers are, does the next person need to have a full unanimous backing of support to stay in there? Or if they only get if 2 people put their hand up to say, oh, I want to be the Mayor, and one person gets 5 and one person gets 6, and then we just go straight into another meeting to say, well, you don't have the full support of all the council, so then we just continue on, or what's the go with that? Do you need the question is, do you need full support of all the councillors, or just because it's only some, and some are upset whether it's 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever, does that then change the rules? Does that question make sense?
Thank you, Councillor Witters. I might get our CEO to just provide comment.
Thank you, Dr. Mayor. The election of a mayor at Armidale Regional Council is by majority of the councillors.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, could I make a suggestion?
we've had a debate, Councillor Bailey.
I just think we should give you the opportunity to respond before we
That's not part of our procedures, which is difficult. So I've just checked on that. So this is another division. So those people are in favour of the motion as on the screen. You got that, have you? Okay, those people against the motion? Great. The motion is won. Since that was the end of the meeting, I declare the meeting closed at 9:42. Thank you for attending.